Commissioner Mitchell Kale, and I represent the appellant, the Progress Coalition. I would like to reserve 2 minutes for rebuttal. I'm here today to urge this board to first deny the Election Commission's recommendation to hold a recall election, and secondly, to reverse the Commission's dismissal of the United Party violation of Student Body Statute Section 205.3b. The Election Commission abused the discretion given to advise the court by not adhering to the plain language of the Student Body Statute, recommending an improper penalty for certain violations and completely writing off others. As a consequence, this court should hold for the disqualification of the United Party candidates and to appoint the vacant offices to the candidates of the Progress Coalition. The first issue is the Election Commission's recommendation that a recall election be held as a result of the United Party's failure to timely submit a final expense statement in violation.
Council, this is something that I asked Mr. Simon. You do recognize that it wasn't just a complete failure to submit this information, it was an incomplete submission. So that being said, do you feel that disqualification is the appropriate remedy?
I do feel that disqualification is the proper remedy because under section 714.3b, the party is required to file a final expense statement, which must include those 5 components. So a final expense statement is laid out as those 5 components. The United Party failed to submit 2 of those components. The first being a contribution of the people who contributed to the party's campaign, and the second being all the account statements and financial documentation. Under section 715.9 of Student Body Statute, any candidate or political party that fails to submit a final expense statement within the allotted time period shall be automatically disqualified from that election, and no other penalty other than immediate disqualification will be assessed.
Council, do you think that the framers of this particular statute intended this to disqualify a candidate who has been turned in a couple pieces of paper rather than disqualify someone or a party that failed to submit it altogether?
There is more, Your Honor, in which the United Party failed to do this. It just did not fail to submit 2 pieces of paper. They, after the deadline, they did submit the other 2 pieces of documentation, but only after the Progress Party brought a complaint against them. Second, even after they submitted the contribution report and the account statements, the pages of the contribution reports or contribution receipts are almost, if not completely illegible. The campaign contribution list is still blank, and the account statements are missing pages.
Mr. Hale, didn't the Elections Commission find that the United Party came into compliance? Did the Election Commission make that finding? So, as for purposes of our review, did they acknowledge that the United Party was eventually in compliance with the statute?
According to the opinion, the Commission never acknowledged that the United Party came into compliance with the statute. As a matter of fact, the Election Commission conceded that the United Party failed to submit a final statement and essentially conceded to their disqualification. However, as the Commission cited Student Body Statute Section 702E16 as giving it the power to adjust their ruling if necessary, and consequently calling for a recall election in which the United Party candidate should be permitted to run if they misinterpretation of that statute. In fact, what the statute considers is that in the face of, if there is a possibility of a miscarriage of justice, Section 702.2E16 gives the Election Commission the power to adjust a ruling if, and I stress if, the specified party acts in good faith to comply with that documentation.
Council, what makes you believe that they didn't act in good faith?
As I said earlier on, even after they submitted the documentation, first they submitted their documentation 3 minutes before the deadline, clearly missing the last 2 components. After it was brought to their attention by the complaint from the Progress Coalition, they submitted a contribution statement and they submitted an account statement. However, as I said earlier, the contribution receipts were barely or almost completely illegible.
So, Council, are you alleging
the form, financial statement form, in which all parties are required to fill out when they submit their financial statement, specifically lays out everything that is required so they can include it in a financial statement. In addition, all the candidates have to sign an affidavit stating that they completely understand, they not only certify, but they understand the.
Ms. Patel, the election commission ruled in your favor in respect to the disqualification. So one of the issues that you have is specific to the recall. Now, if the court were to find that the Ignite Party acted in good faith, would you say that the election commission was within its discretion to allow for additional penalties outside of the disqualification?
If the court finds that the election, or that the Ignite Party, acted in good faith, then yes, I would say that it would be discretion of the election committee to issue a recall. However, even if they issue a recall, the purpose of a recall and the procedure of a recall is essentially the wrong remedy.
So you take issue with the word recall, so re-election would be an appropriate remedy?
For a special election, but I believe that the appropriate remedy, as stated in the statute, and this is the issue, is that the statute specifically says that if they fail to file a final expense statement, they must be disqualified. No other penalty can be assessed.
No, we're clear on the disqualification, but specific to whether or not there's a good faith faculty that the very next morning, within 24 hours, the election commission found that they were in compliance. With that being said, if that was considered to be a good faith effort, you're saying that the election commission did not abuse its discretion?
I will proceed to that, Your Honor. However, the election commission conceded itself that the Ignite Party did not act with it. They specifically said the Ignite Party lacked the faith in getting this process done.
Counsel, in your remedy, well, first let's take a step back. You do understand that the Ignite Party is not going to overwhelm the bill.
I do know that the Ignite Party won by overwhelming majority, but the court should be noted that only 14% of the entire Florida State University student body voted in this election.
Okay, well, irrespective of that fact, counsel, the 14% that did vote, an overwhelming majority of those students chose the Ignite Party as the people in the office. You see that. So are you requesting from this court, ignore the will of that 14% of the student body and put a group of people in office who were not actually elected into office?
I believe that it would be unreasonable for this court to find that such a small cross-section of the student body represented an overwhelming majority of the student body, and that it wouldn't be a miscarriage of justice to essentially put the Project Coalition candidates into office.
Counsel, but you mentioned that 14% of the students vote. I'm not sure how many students voted in prior elections, but if we do look at that sample of students from the entire university, are you saying that we should ignore the will of those 14%, that 14% of students, and put people in office that weren't actually elected because of procedural error?
What I'm saying is that the statutes are to be adhered to. I'm saying that the election commission failed to agree to those statutes. The statutes specifically say that after the election, if this takes place, if the final expense statement is not submitted, with those five components, the parties is qualified. And the story doesn't speak to if a certain amount of, students voted or didn't vote, they qualified.
Another issue that you took was specific to a tax benefit. The Ignite Party usually use a tax exemption card for this campaign material. So your argument is that they had an unfair advantage over the Congress $1